Welcome to Coaching Your Life with Stef and TaNelle. I'm TaNelle Farnsworth, and I am a health and life coach with BU2 Wellness, and I like to help women strengthen their relationship with themselves and the people they love the most.
Hi, I'm Stef Richthammer with Empowered You Health Coaching, and I like to help women who are sick or uncomfortable in their skin change their habits to feel alive and amazing.
Very good.
I have to show you, we have an extra guest today.
This is very nice.
And she will probably make I have to introduce her now because she's probably going to get up a few times. So
that's okay. We're easy, right? So after our last episode last week or a couple weeks ago, I was really thinking about like the chemicals in our body, and wanted to talk a little bit more about like, because you had mentioned like serotonin, like dopamine. You talked about a few of those. So and how we can, so I wanted to just talk about like how we can really hack into our happiness with getting these chemicals to produce more so we can have more happiness in our life. Yes,
everyone can benefit.
Who doesn't want that?
Exactly.
So there are 4 chemicals. So dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, and oxytocin. Oxytocin? Am I saying that right?
Oxytocin. Yep.
Oxytocin. Thank you. So like if you're feeling like really tired or down, like you're stuck or whatever, like these are what's keeping you like these, and these chemicals are not being
as
released.
Okay.
So these will trigger your happiness. So these chemicals will trigger your happiness, and they will be wanting you to so like we can intentionally get these chemicals to flow more and at a more frequent rate. So being at a positive state has a very great impact on our emotions and our motivation and our productivity and our well-being. So who doesn't want that, right? Like no sane person does not.
I want it.
Yeah, I want it. Like who doesn't? So
I want it for my family.
Yeah, right? Like that's so awesome. Like to just be able to just dive deeper into these, like we can release these chemicals at a more frequent rate to be able to be more happy at a happier state, which like I love, because like really, how do you feel when you're feeling down? Like you're just kind of like, ugh, like, I don't want to do anything today. Yeah.
Right.
So if we can just like intentionally hack into these to make us more positive, and I love that. So we're going to talk about each one and what it does, and some ways that we can hack into it a little bit.
Perfect. I love that. This is a great time of year to do that too.
Right?
Like we were talking about last time about the intentional buying, the intentionally making yourself happy at this time of year. Everybody gets so stressed out, right?
Yeah, it is a stressful time. Christmas is very stressful. So this is a very great time of year to be talking about these chemicals. So
love it.
Dopamine motivates us to take action towards goals, desires, and needs, and it reinforces pleasure. So breaking down, so a way that we can to help this is to break down big goals into smaller little pieces. So rather than having like one big huge goal, like I'm going to I need to lose 30 pounds or whatever, and then like that's your goal, break it down a little bit. Like I want to lose 2 pounds in 2 weeks, break it down so you can celebrate those smaller goals.
I love that.
Yeah. So And as you celebrate the smaller goals, as you are breaking down your smaller goals, then you need to celebrate them. And whatever way you celebrate them is very crucial, because that is what will release this dopamine. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, like, buy a bottle of wine, head to your favorite restaurant. Whenever you meet these small goals, do something that will encourage you to keep going and to celebrate, to release this happiness.
I love that.
Yeah. So instead of being left with like a dopamine hangover, just be creating new goals before achieving your current one. So like you're almost ready to hit another goal. you're ready to finish that one goal, and you're so close, but then like move back a little bit, create a new goal, finish this goal, have a new goal in place. Does that make sense?
It does. I love that. Because they think, well, first of all, it's kind of like a birthday party, right? Like, who doesn't want to celebrate?
Right?
Well, coming from a person that loves her birthday, but like, why not celebrate any little thing you possibly can, just to make life that much more fun, if nothing else, right?
Right. And sometimes I feel like, yeah, we can get in this stuck spot where we are not having fun.
Oh, yes.
Like,
So,
life is boring. And
yeah, it can be if you're not taking the time to celebrate the small things, because we all have goals. Maybe your goal is to get your kids to school without any argument. If you can do that, that is worth celebrating.
That's
right?
so true.
Like, I mean, do a little dance party in the morning when you can do that, right?
Yes.
It's interesting because, talking about the dopamine hangover, I had read a study about video games and how they're actually made by people who understand the release of dopamine. So you are playing a video game and it gives you enough of a release of dopamine that it becomes like a drug that you need. And then when you stop playing it, you have that hangover that you mentioned, right?
Wow.
Like, so just as a side note, too much video games, some video games are awesome because it can release the dopamine and can give that awesome feeling of wanting to get stuff done and whatever, but
right.
Too much then leaves you like, now what?
Right.
You know? So
no, that's
anyway.
Great. I'm glad you mentioned that, because there are a lot of people that do play video games, and sometimes I don't think they realize how, like, even I feel like, Facebook or whatever, you can probably, it's probably the same thing, like seeing everybody's, you're kind of happy for them, but then, like, you're not really, it's not really a true happiness.
Right. So it's amazing how much effort and thought goes into the advertising of things and the video game, that kind of thing. There's a reason why people get hooked and can't stop looking at Facebook or can't stop playing video games. And it's the release of these chemicals that, I mean, they're smart to hire those people to make it work that way, but a little scary for us peasants over here, just living our lives, right?
Yeah, it is. It's it's interesting how people make money.
Exactly.
So the next chemical is serotonin. So this flows like when you feel significant or important. So like this is something that, like, if you are feeling very like needed, I guess. So this is absent when you are feeling like lonely or depressed. It is absent. So in order to release this chemical, you need to reflect on past significant achievements will allow your brain to relive this experience. Like, so our brains have trouble knowing what's real, like what's like right now and what was like your past. So like if you can relive that, like when you felt like so important, if there was a time in your life that you felt like oh my gosh, like if you keep on replaying that in your brain, then it's going to release it will still release those chemicals, which is amazing. Our brains are so powerful.
That is super cool. And that actually reminds me, last time we spoke about kindness and the effects it has on teenagers. And I recall it being even remembering an act of kindness can help them. And this makes sense, right? Because they're remembering something they did that made them feel purposeful, and then helps them release serotonin so that they feel happy again.
Yes.
That memory, that makes such sense. I love when everything comes together.
Yeah, or else.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So our brains have trouble, like, right? They are, so another reason why gratitude practices, like, so gratitude, like, do you do gratitude, like a gratitude journal?
I do every day.
Yeah. So like, I think this, like having a gratitude journal, that will also release this chemical, and they remind us that we are valued and that we have value in life. So if you're having a stressful day, take a few minutes and reflect on past achievements and victories.
I like that. I feel like that's a little bit different than a gratitude journal too. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And there's some other things that can help too. So like, go outside, like being outside in the sun for at least like 20 minutes. Like the sun absorbs your UV rays, which promotes vitamin D and serotonin production. So just being outside, and so like take your lunch outside. Like right now, like where I live, that is like, sounds crazy. So I probably, but I think like, so I have like this big window, like right here, like it's my door. I was just
gonna say that. Yeah.
It's my door, and it's still kind of dark right now, but I have it open. So, sometimes I'll sit like at my table and like just sit in the sun. Like I think just having that, or like look outside, because we have a beautiful yard. Like we have a really big yard. So like just kind of fun to just sit here at the table, eat lunch, and it's not quite 20 minutes, but any sunlight. Like there's so many people that work all day long in an office and they don't get that at all.
My husband, that's exactly my husband. When he gets home, all he wants to do is go walk outside. Even though it's dark, he actually will just walk outside just because he's been inside all day.
Yeah.
But while you're saying that, I'm thinking that's why seasonal depression or like winter blues, that's how that happens, right? Because we're not exposing ourselves to the sun because it's either not there or it's too cold to. And then our production of serotonin goes down. That's super interesting.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, I just think that we just need to be outside more, and like all those happy, like feel good. I don't know, when you're outside, don't you just feel better? Like I just like the fresh air.
I do. I love it.
Yeah. I love being outside too. Like the summer times here, like I live in Idaho. So like the winters are rough. Like we've already gotten snow. We had snow in October. We had a couple weeks that were very nice. Yeah. For reals, right? So like we have like a 6-month period of like cold. So, but I love it. I love where I live and I wouldn't trade it, but like to be more intentional about getting your sunlight
and utilizing that window.
Yeah. And if you can't, like, even if you can't, like, I know a few people that like don't get enough sunlight, they do the like light therapy, which is another like great tool if you don't have, like, if you live in a place like me.
A frozen tundra.
Yeah.
I like to say where we live is a frozen tundra, but not quite.
Right.
Connecticut's not quite that cold, that long. It's cold. But.
So the next chemical is oxytocin. Am I saying that right?
Oxytocin.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just the way it's spelled is kind of different. Anyways, I'm just having a weird time. So this is this is created when you are like kind of like intimacy, trust, like you're building healthy relationships. This is kind of when it is released. It also is released like when men and women like orgasm, and when mothers are during childbirth and breastfeeding. So those are released during those times. Yeah. Which, like, as a woman, like, don't you just want to, like, let's have a baby and like breastfeed for like
Well, that's why some people love breastfeeding, right? I mean, that's why some people probably do it for so long, because
it's so true.
of what it's doing for them. And if
Yeah.
you don't have that experience, you can't really understand. I mean, as with anything in life, but specifically, I think a lot with children, and that you can't understand what that's doing for you,
Right.
unless you've experienced it. So that's pretty cool. I did not know that.
Yeah, just interesting knowledge, right? I find it like quite, I don't know, I find like oxytocin is just like kind of an interesting chemical that we have in our body.
Well, and it's also, again, like we talked about last time, released, you mentioned relationships. It's also released when you're being kind to somebody. And I think it has to do with building relationships and just your interaction with other people. So that's it's a powerful one. That.
Yeah. Like I find this too, this is interesting to me because this chemical is also called the cuddle hormone. So like a simple way to get this to flow more is to give someone a hug. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And so Dr. Paul Zak, I think is how you say his last name, Z-A-K, he explains like personal touch, and but like, anyways, he recommends 8 hugs, 8 hugs a day.
Yes, and I shared that with some friends of mine, because very long story I won't share, but essentially there were some people that were very down, and you just need 8 hugs to actually help curb some depression, because
Yes,
of the
very
way
good.
it releases the oxytocin.